What we are proposing to do is with area regional control, and we are trying to help our customers to work with PRRS, is organizing the country depending on the big density in every different region. So political borders don't make too much sense for disease transmission, but some other buffer areas or some other factors, epidemiological factors, could make more sense in that specific aspect. So we are proposing 17 different regions, considering conditions such as the import-export level of that specific region, the peak density in that area, how the pigs are moved in that area, and some natural buffers between pork producing areas. For BI, what is important is that the central point of area regional control is a working group. So we think that local leadership, local people that is really interested in the benefit or in the success of the project is really involved and committed to the project, so they can help to move that project forward. So the central point of area regional control is a working group. A well-organized and motivated working group, informed working group, will be a key for the success of that specific project. So we are proposing 5 phases. We are not saying that this is a perfect template, but we are proposing at least a guideline for the industry to critique this template and make it better. So we try to organize the approach on PRRS virus from 5 different phases. The first one is a feasibility study. So what are the chances of that region to get success in that specific project? Then to identify the pig-related sites in that specific region, characterize the region epidemiologically regarding PRRS virus, design the PRRS control plans for farms and for clusters or for neighborhoods in that specific region, and finally execution and monitoring the programs. So the first one is basically a preparation organization phase where we consider some aspects that are very important. The first one, or the most important one, is the local leadership and cooperation. So you want to have in that specific project somebody or a group of people that is has a strong leadership in that area to get the commitment and the participation of most of the people in that region to be able to move that project forward. The second one is funding for producers. So these projects are not for free; they require investment for different activities that need to be developed in that specific project. So in some cases, external source of funding is required, although the most interested or benefit people from that, from the conclusion of that project, will be the local producers and veterinarians. And in some cases, some reluctant producers that take some time for them to get on board, they will need some kind of motivation or help to move forward with their local plans. Supporting institutions, so it's ideal to have universities or state offices or some other kind of supported institution that could provide information, knowledge, advice to those working groups. Local coordination is required need for those projects to have somebody in the field who knows all the farms, all the producers, what is happening in the region, and have good communication level with every participant. How we are going to share the information, all the confidentiality agreements and no harm forms, and what are the reporting mechanisms for results, for achievement of milestones and objectives that we have. The second phase is trying to understand a little bit how is that region. So producers and veterinarians will try to come up with a location of those sites and the PRRS status, at least the historical PRRS status of those sites, how the pigs are moved within the region and to other regions. With that phase, you will have a nice big picture of epidemiology of the region, and will be able to come up with a plan, a future plan of actions. In that specific phase, what you are interested in is the basic data, which is geographical location, the coordinates, longitude and latitude of every specific site. And in this effort you want to identify what type of site are you talking about, if it is a breeding herd, finishing herd, exhibition pig, transport, sanitation facility, slaughterhouse, etc. The person status of that site, if it is known by them. This is the kind of information that you can generate to work with. And the third phase, now you have to go to the farm, or somebody in that working group or in the project needs to go to the farm and get more information to move forward. What you need is a person status. So maybe some samples need to be collected, understand the animal flow of that system, and risk of becoming infected, which will be achieved by doing a risk assessment, for example, in that farm. So with all this information, now you have a very clear picture of your region, what is happening there, and what is happening in the sites. So now you can build your clusters or neighborhoods where you have groups of farms that share risk of becoming infected. And the key of all this regional context, or all this regional initiative, is that all those sites that share the same risk of becoming infected need to work together and coordinate it, at the same time, to get results in a consistent way. So there is no point for farms that are in the same specific cluster to begin initiatives or purge control programs by itself, with the other farm not doing anything and putting that farm at risk, because that can create frustration from producers and lack of compliances later. An easy example, we see it every day. One producer is thinking on repopulating a farm, and one producer 1 mile away is thinking on doing LVI injection to herd closure to stabilize his farm. So that's the kind of coordination that we need. I'm not saying that one or the other is the best way, but they need to talk and need to come up with a plan with their veterinarians. The fourth phase, now that you have all your neighborhoods and clusters and epidemiological factors organized, then veterinarians and producers work together in individual herd plans, and then those herd plans within the same cluster get together and you coordinate actions. So you have a neighborhood plan for those farms. And finally, well, in this specific case, for the region, you do the same that you do for the specific farms. Identify the goals, determine the current status of those sites, understand the constraints, and prepare or having a plan for those farms. It's very important that at this phase we come up with a contingency plan for in case that something happens. Finally, you execute your control phase or your elimination phase, depending on the epidemiological conditions of that specific site, and then you start monitoring the results. When you start, you have to organize a sampling testing program to define how is the project moving forward from the individual farm perspective and from the regional perspective. So then when you achieve the status that you were looking for, you still want to keep monitoring, because in that point maybe the region is susceptible to get external infections, so you want to keep monitoring that region to be able to understand what is happening epidemiologically in that specific region. So these are the five phases that we are proposing, and as I said, it's an open document, and we are open to feedback. So if you want to give us feedback, we can modify it, and the expectation is to make it better over time.